Team RTFC.baconicecream.com.
Hello everyone, this is Diabolic or Eric from Bacon Ice Cream Productions and Team RTFC. Today I have another Gauntlet deck that I ran through. This is a Mufasa deck that I picked up from Phonetic, one of his videos that he put out. Had been kind of playing around with it for a while and really enjoyed it. Deck's running 4 copies of Stitch, 4 copies of Little Queen. So that would be Stitch New Dog to shift into Rockstar. 3 copies of Simba Protective Cub. 2 copies of Snow White. The 2-drop, hopefully to shift the 6-drop in. 4 copies of Mother Gothel, which pairs really well with the 4-drop Rapunzel. 2 copies of Queen of Hearts, which I didn't find to be super useful. 3 copies of Doc, 2 copies of Minnie Mouse Surfer, which is situationally one of the best cards on 3-drop. 4 copies of Rapunzel to help heal your Mother Gothel to draw some cards. 4 copies of Mufasa because he's kind of the heart of the deck. We got 4 copies of Maui, 2 copies of Snow White, the Well-Wisher, to help bring back some of your Mufasas or Rapunzels as you need them. 4 copies of Stitch Rockstar, 4 copies of Lady Tremaine, 4 copies of Stitch Carefree Surfer, and then we have 3 copies of Maleficent, Monstrous Dragon, and then 3 copies of Lantern. Ideally, you know, looking at Phonetic's video, he really, you know, wanted to hit on his mulligan certain things, like trying to get the card draw or the ramp advantage along with the Mufasa. So in a lot of the games I did my best to sit there and remember that, hey, I need a Doc or I want a Lantern, or, you know, put back the Maleficent because she's going to be more impactful if she gets to come into play from the Mufasa flip, rather than trying to ramp up to 9. I think in a couple of games I did end up ramping up to and past 9. Lady Tremaine coming off the top, you know, it swings things a lot of times. So once again, I did speed these up to 4 minutes. I will say, I think there's going to be a couple of these videos that are very, very, very fast because of the nature of how some of the games went, which was very long. So I'm going to do my best to keep up with the pace, but I like the 4-minute format because then we have that opportunity to kind of go back, look at them. We don't spend a ton of time, and since we're going to do a 10-game series, you know, 40 minutes for 10 games is still a substantial amount of time to invest into watching a video. So I appreciate that everyone is sticking with this format. I have another one in the queue right behind this. Once I'm done recording this audio, I should be able to finalize this and then put the finishing touches on another video, and I'm hoping to try to grind these out maybe once a week, maybe twice a week if I have that opportunity. The editing takes a little bit of time, but I'm enjoying doing that, and again, my wife gifting me that tour box is helping speed things up. So this overall deck has 51 inkable cards, 9 uninkables. We're running 3 items and the rest are characters in order to help facilitate that Mufasa, you know, when they are banished. Then banish is specific, not when they leave the battlefield, which is key. So my first game, I'm up against a Ruby Amethyst. I mulligan kind of aggressively, ended up keeping the 1 Queen of Hearts. I didn't know I was up against Ruby Amethyst at that point, but I was thinking having something that could rush and or ink would be good. I ended up getting the Rapunzel Mother Gothel combo. So at that point, I know Queen of Hearts isn't gonna help me defeat the Minnie Mouse, but I'm trying to hide my secondary colors so they don't know when I'm playing right away. I don't know if that helps all the time, but I feel like the first 2 or 3 turns can be very impactful to go ahead and do that. I ended up playing that little queen and then ended up shifting into the big queen, and got that opportunity to shift for 2 in hopes that they weren't going to teeth and ambitions and crash their mini into the queen. They played the Madam Mim, bounced back the Minnie Mouse, and replayed the Minnie Mouse. And at this point, I had to decide: do I pause on questing with the queen, or do I, just ink? Do I ink and pass, or do I quest and risk having the Madam Mim snakes crash into the queen? And I decided to just go ahead and pass after playing the Mother Gothel, because they could teeth and ambitions the Mother Gothel, and at that point I feel a little more secure about them using that to defeat the Mother Gothel. And then knowing I'm going to be able to play the Rapunzel on turn 4, I draw 3 cards off of it because they didn't teeth and ambition. I figured I was baiting out that teeth and ambitions. So it was either going to draw me 3 cards, or it was going to get rid of that card from their hand and help protect other things. And then Mother Gothel gets to go in there and get another 3 damage in hopes that if they don't take it out, which I would if I were my opponent, be able to get another 3 cards off of that other Rapunzel in my hand, which they do take out the Mother Gothel. I go ahead and ink this Stitch New Dog. I found shifting into the Stitch Rockstar was situational at best, and typically I found it was a little bit easier for me to turn it into fodder for another turn rather than playing the Stitch Rockstar. I felt like the low curve on this isn't as great to take advantage of the Stitch Rockstar draw power. I got to play that Mufasa last turn, so now I've got Mufasa that can either quest or challenge. Unfortunately, no one with big power on the board right now for him to challenge into, get banished, and then come back. So I decided to just chip away at their existing characters and see if they're going to go ahead and try to take out any of my pieces. And then I got that opportunity to play the Lady Tremaine to take out their Surfer mini. So now they're kind of dead in the water with nothing to play and support themselves. And they inked that Teeth and Ambitions, which is one of the things I was really hoping they would then, be able to play and really feel like they had to take out my Mufasa. I went aggressive in this route because I knew I was close to the win, and kind of was like, well, you got to deal with me. You got to be prepared. But if you be prepared, I'm going to be able to replace off of the top with Mufasa. So depending on what I flip, this could just win me the game, which was Doc, which means he can quest for 2, and with no other ink for them to follow up, that's going to wrap up game 1. Going on to game 2, once again I end up playing against Ruby Amethyst. Kept the Rapunzel and the Mufasa and mulliganed everything else. Hitting the Dock was a nice opportunity to be able to ramp into that Mufasa so that I have that opportunity to see how things go. I decided to play the Queen here because I was thinking, if they wanted Teeth and Ambitions, even though I didn't have the big queen, that they're spending the Teeth and Ambitions to take out the little queen, and I was fine with that trade. I didn't feel like it was a bad trade in that moment just because they got rid of that Teeth and Ambitions from their hand. Decided I don't need the 2 docks, and I'm just going to hold off, not giving them a target to run that snake into. Let them work for taking out my characters until I'm ready to actually protect them. Quest with the Dock, play the Mufasa, knowing that I'm probably going to lose the Dock if I don't quest with the Stitch, or I'm sorry, with the Simba. And then they give me that opportunity to sacrifice something with Lady Tremaine, so clearly it's going to be the Mufasa. And they decided to take out the Stitch anyway, which I was fine with. That gives me a good opportunity to, keep other things on the board. Get to shift in the big queen so that we can hopefully take out, the 2 questing person, and then let them take out the big queen. I still have Doc on board, until they played that Lady Tremaine and I got rid of it. But now I've got my own Lady Tremaine that I can play to get rid of theirs. I'm a little ahead in the lore right here, so I have that opportunity to kind of clear their board, pass. I think I thought I hit pass there and I hadn't. They let me draw 2 cards, which was nice. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, well, I can use the Snow White if she stays on board, or it's going to be a target to be taken out. But if she gets the quest, she gets the quest and take back some things out of my discard pile. Play the Lady Tremaine, and I'm giving them that option. You know, they're clearly going to keep the Elsa, but I really wanted to put that pressure and make it so that they had to pick one of their bigger guys. The fact that they could bounce the Elsa back to their hand, I decided I was still going to play into the Mufasa and let them play the Elsa to tap both down, because Mufasa still can be a threat coming out, which also set me up to draw 2 cards off of the Stitch Carefree Surfer. The Honest John was an interesting, you know, choice. I think I saw it a couple times throughout this video. It was just an interesting choice to see, because I was like, that's going to make me change my combat math, you know, and how many things I need to quest with. So I decided to take that out with the Monstrous Dragon, just to make sure that I wasn't opening myself up to something unforeseen and, you know, losing that lore. At this point, I'm just playing out a little timidly. I don't, you know, I want to keep the Maui or the Lady Tremaine in order to take out their threats. Clearly here I'm going to use the Lady Tremaine to take out the Elsa, just so that they can't keep bouncing it back. And now I had the moment of, what do I do when they played that Aladdin, but they conceded right after that. Game 3, I'm up against Amber Steel. Kept the Simba, which, you know, ended up with 2 in my hand. I think I was just thinking for Bodyguard. Probably should have sent that back just to make sure that I had the opportunity to, you know, see an extra card. Not seeing the Mother Gothel with the Rapunzel, now having 2 Rapunzels, I was just a little iffy on, but now I drew into that Lantern. So I'm feeling like I can probably ramp a little bit, maybe push into getting that Stitch Rockstar out a little early. You know, I'm looking at my hand, deciding what to ink. I, you know, decide I don't need 2 Rapunzels. Now I can go up to 4 with the Lantern. And I decided to play the Simba, and didn't mean to put it into Bodyguard mode, but, you know, it happens. They decided not to take out the Simba with the Rockstar, which I think they're indicating, oops, I also meant to do that, but kind of worked out for me. And, you know, at that point, I'm able to play the big queen using the Lantern. Don't feel the need to quest or expose the Simba initially, because then the Simba can at least protect the queen on another turn. They inked the Smash and then played the Smash to take out the queen, which was fine. Draw their card off of the Captain Hook. And now I'm at a point where if I ink this Stitch Rockstar, I'm able to play a Stitch Rockstar. Still not having anything in my hand to take advantage of his draw ability, but it's a 3 questing personality, and that goes a long way at times. Now I see that Gaston come out, and I'm like, oh, this is probably close to that flute deck list that we saw floating around, where Gaston can sing songs just as effectively as Ariel. So now I've got access to 6, potentially going up to 7 ink, depending on how I want to do things. So I decided to challenge in with the Stitch Rockstar so I can draw the 3 cards from the Rapunzel. Seeing what else I could ink rather than play the Mufasa. I still have 2 ink to work with, and if I ink something, a 3rd, but not a lot of good options in there. So I inked the Maui, which I possibly should have kept just so I can make sure that I could maybe swing it into the Rockstar. Got to draw the card with the Mother Gothel and then take out their 3 questing Stitch Rockstar. Their big Tink takes out my Mother Gothel with its come into play ability. They inked the Stitch Rockstar and then they Whole New World, and I went, oh, okay. Good thing I wasn't trying to build anything up in my hand. Pretty sure at this point it's 15-0. I'm looking at it going, I don't really stand too much of a chance, but let's see where else I can draw out through. I was double checking their characters for something. I don't remember what now. I can get up to 8. I think I can get up to, no, I can get up to 8 because I just inked. And pretty sure I just go, yep, I'm going to lose and concede that game. Game 4, I'm up against an Amber Sapphire deck. And I kind of took that advice a little bit better. Got rid of everything but the Lantern because I figured the Lantern could help me ramp. Thought about inking the Snow White, but I decided to ink the Maleficent since it's going to be a while until I can play her. So, and not having her in the deck means it's a little less effective. I get to shift in that the big Queen, and they didn't have their Stitch in, or their Simba in bodyguard mode. But then they launched their Popsicle at me and destroyed her, and I went, oh, that's a little different. So I had to play another Simba. They're going to bring back their Popsicle. And now I've got a handful of things that are just kind of not helping me as much as I'd like. I bring out that Maui to take out their character, and I'm now just kind of in a holding pattern waiting to see what else I'm going to draw, and I just keep drawing lower things, and I'm not worried about a board wipe, but I'm kind of going, who would I rather have, Big Queen or Stitch Rockstar if I draw into it? So I decided to, play that Stitch New Dog. And now I've got an opportunity to take down their other characters, play that Lady Tremaine, and take out their Cogsworth because that's the only character left. And worked around their ward. At this point, I'm like, let's play out my hand. I'm not worried about discard. I'm not worried about a board wipe. They bring back Cogsworth with the Hades. And here I'm thinking about, do I just swing in with the Mufasa into the rabbit just to replace, and then see what happens from there? Because the Stitch New Dog could eliminate the rabbit. I decided to attack with the. Maybe they didn't have enough. Maybe I just couldn't read the card and thought it had more willpower than it did. It was hard to read sometimes. I get to play that Stitch Rockstar, but now I'm just top decking, seeing what I can get. Get the Doc, which isn't going to be super helpful, but at least he quests for 2 and puts a little bit of pressure on. They're clearly afraid of the Stitch Rockstar, so they throw stuff at it, and I'm deciding to take out what I can, put that damage on Doc so I can draw a card, see what I can dig through. At least I get the Snow White that I can play. And at this point, I'm deciding how do I want to go about things. I can make them make a choice between Robin Hood and Christopher Robin, which they chose to get rid of Christopher Robin because I got rid of their other character. And just make them make the choices. I'm at 14, they're at 9. Rabbit takes out Lady Tremaine, which I was impressed by. They let it go. And now I'm just back in top deck. Let's see what happens. They're at an advantage. I think at that point I know that they can win, or they're about to win, but now they've got up to 9. And that pretty much ends the game, because no matter what happens here, doesn't matter what I flip off of Mufasa, I don't win the game. Let them play it out and move to game 5. Game 5, we're against a Ruby Sapphire deck. Kept my ramp, kept my Mufasa to see what I can dig into. Again, I'm not finding having 2 docks on board is super helpful. That's why I'm inking them. Dock and Lantern are different, but 2 docks needing to quest and then basically 1 being able to be taken off is a little situational. That means I'm basically not questing with dock on one of the turns. If I play him on 3, I have to wait to play the second one to take full advantage. Put out the dock, waiting to see that I can ramp up into that Mufasa. And here I'm in a position where, do I want to play the Lantern and move forward, or do I want to play the Mufasa? I decide to err on play the Mufasa route, because at least then Mufasa can take out that Winnie the Pooh. And if they really wanted to trade back with him, at least, you know, Mufasa took something out and can quest on another turn if possible. Plus, it would give me a target to play that Rapunzel to draw 2 cards if I wanted to. They get the Flavorshim and get the opportunity to draw some cards. And I do what I kind of predicted there. Quest with the dock, reduce the cost of Rapunzel, figuring I can draw 2 cards. Maybe I have enough ink left over to play a Rockstar or a Queen, which I didn't draw into. They played their Fishbone, and now they can be prepared if they really want to. So I'm now kind of looking at the game state going, I don't want to overcommit, but I also don't have a lot of things that can quest for a lot in my hand. So, and knowing that they can let it go, the Mufasa, to get basically value, because I wouldn't get to flip anything off the top. I wanted to pay attention to how I wanted to handle things. Use the Maui to take out the Flavorshim so they at least lose part of their card draw engine. Quest out. They quest with the Nick Wilde, and I was half expecting to see a Be Prepared at this point, because we're at 7, but with the Mufasa out, it really helps to be able to turn around and say, you know, okay, fine, I replace him. But they get the Hades, and I lose that Mufasa. Maui takes down their Nick Wilde. And at this point, I'm like, well, let's play another Mufasa and either draw out another Let It Go or Hades, or just kind of put the pressure on the board to make them play a Be Prepared or something like that. And they conceded. Game 6, I am up against another Ruby Sapphire deck. I decided to keep the Mufasa and pitch everything else, and really didn't draw into any of the other pieces that I really would like to have seen. No dock, no lantern, no Mother Gothel, Rapunzel. I basically am like, well, I have 2 Simbas, so maybe I can do something with that and, you know, build up. I'm not sure if, at this point, if I realize that I could shift the big Snow White on. I know I kept checking there, but I don't actually remember what I was thinking there. But that might have been what I was hoping to do, is get to the point where I don't overextend that that little Snow White, so that at least I have the opportunity to play the big Snow White and, you know, in this case heal the Simba, but also be able to play the big Snow White and not have it die necessarily to like Teeth of Ambitions or something like that. They use their Judy Hop to get rid of their Popsicle because they haven't gotten to Flavor Shim, it seems. I pitched this Stitch Carefree Rockstar because I'm so far away and with no ramp. Realizing I don't have anything in my discard pile, I still decided to play the big Snow White because she quests for 2, and it can be seen as a threat to have to deal with. Plus I have the bodyguard to help protect her a little bit. Not that Judy Hopps and Mickey Mouse could take her out on the same turn. And then they decided to play to challenge my Simba so that their Lady Tremaine could take out my Snow White, which I went, well, good game, or well played, not good game. Because that was a smart move. I questioned why they were challenging, you know, not getting 3 lore to take out my Simba, and then I went, oh, well, that's the reason why. They let it go my Mufasa, which now puts me at a disadvantage to being able to get it back with the other Snow White. But I decided it's worth playing the other Snow White anyway, just so that I can try to recover something from my discard pile. But at this point they're approaching, you know, critical mass. They've got 13 to my 3. And unless I do something very tricky, I'm not winning this game. So I decided to take out the Judy Hop to reduce them down to only being able to quest for 5. I get to heal back the Cinderella to draw some cards. Decide inking the Little Queen is my best option, even though I can't play anything at this point. They get their Flavor Shim, and now they're questing for 6 on their turn, potentially. Which, you know, I don't have a board wipe. I'm not running Be Prepared. Looks grim on this side. So unless I can figure out how to take out everything but the Flavor Shim, I'm out. So I concede. Game 7, I'm up against Amber Steel. Kept the Mother Gothel in hopes I would draw into the Rapunzel, which I didn't, but I also had a lantern, and then having 2 lanterns isn't the end of the world. Again, played that queen in hopes that I'm going to bait out if they want to take out the queen to prevent me from shifting. And I'm doing the same thing with the Stitch Rockstar idea, even though I have the Stitch Rockstar in my hand. You know, make them make decisions based on what they're seeing. At this point, I don't think I've seen Steel in their hand. I think I've only seen them ink Amber cards. So I go ahead and I'm going to play out that Stitch Rockstar and start that quest grind and see how they decide to respond, since he's got 5 power. But now we have a different thing where we're going to be able to take out that Stitch Rockstar right away. And I was a little upset about it. Get to play the second lantern, sitting on the ability to play that Mother Tremaine on my next turn, but also knowing whoever they pick is not going to be the person I would want them to pick. They take down my Little Queen with a Storm Rage, let the Storm Rage on, and now I'm sitting here going, I'm probably not going to win this game. They take out their Simba using Lady Tremaine. I like the addition of the Duke. I think it's an interesting way to buff up the Queen and some of the other cards. I get to play the Stitch Carefree Surfer because I can ramp up to 7. I think I'm very lucky that the Hercules doesn't quest for more. I decided it was in my best interest to take the Hercules out in hopes that I can take out the queen on another turn, which sets me up now to have a Mufasa that can challenge into the queen and replace itself. They're threatening 5 right now, so I know I want to take out that queen, see what I get replaced. Some other Gothel, which isn't the best, but I also get to play the Lady Tremaine, which takes out their Duke. And now they're only threatening 2. I decide that I'm going to use the lanterns to play the Rapunzel so I can draw the 3 cards off of the Mother Gothel. I probably shouldn't have done it that way. I probably should have not played the lantern and been able to play the... I don't think I had enough ink to play the other Rapunzel after putting that 2 damage, but they left the 2 damage on Mother Tremaine, so I took advantage of that to be able to heal her. And at this point they didn't quest, so they know that they've got the opportunity and the threat that if they don't quest, I probably still can't win on my next turn. Their Benja takes out my lantern. I also thought it was an interesting move that Benja is a king and therefore the Duke helps him, so brings him up to being a 3/3. But at that point my opponent decided that they can't win, so they conceded to me. Game 8, I am against another Ruby Sapphire deck. You're still trying to follow the mulligan idea, keep ramp, keep card draw. In this case, you know, I'm lucky to have that dock and the lantern, so hopefully I can push to the Mufasa on turn 4. Unfortunately, you can't get it much past that unless you end up with multiple lanterns, but even that, I think is the earliest you can get Mufasa out is 4 at the moment. I decided to play the Stitch just because I wanted to make sure if they have Teeth of Ambitions or, you know, get the opportunity to play the Lady Tremaine, I have something out there that helps, you know, eat that so that I don't lose the dock if I really feel like I need it in order to keep above water. Now I've got the Mufasa, so a Lady Tremaine would be nice because then I can replace the Mufasa or use Mufasa as a threat to take down like the Flavor Shim or something like that. They get rid of all their items to draw a bunch of cards. I decide I'm going to go ahead and quest out because I can't get rid of the Mufasa at the moment, but it also let me draw some cards with the Stitch Carefree Surfer and see what I'm sitting on going forward. Flavor Shim's not that big of a threat quest-wise, but card draw-wise, you know, he's there, but you know, knowing he can get to the Be Prepared, I had the Mufasa, but unfortunately I hit that Stitch New Dog, which didn't help as much. But I do have that Snow White in hopes that I can drag something out of the discard pile to help me restabilize. But Maleficent Dragon has something to say about that. So I'm at the point I can't get to the Maleficent to take out their Maleficent, so I just kind of go, I will quest for one, see what you do with your Maleficent. They decided not to quest with it, and they decided to, wipe my board. I now can play a Maleficent, but now it's my one Maleficent to their one Maleficent, and I think we're just gonna shadow box for a minute here. Lose that Maleficent to a Let It Go, and now I'm top decking, get another Maleficent, and decisions. Now at least I can take down their Nick Wilde without threatening my Maleficent, but then I lose it to the Lady Tremaine. Get a Mother Gothel, and I know that's not enough. I'm not going to pass and let them, play another Lady Tremaine or a Maleficent or anything else. And they're just going to hit critical mass at this point. I don't feel like... I think I'm going to concede in just a minute, just because I wanted to see where they played out. But if I draw Rapunzel, maybe, which I struck out. And Queen of Hearts is just kind of not the best in these circumstances. We're now on to game 9. This is going to be against an Amber Sapphire deck. I'm keeping, the Mufasa and the Lantern. I'm looking at the 2 stitches because I can shift into it, and with the Lantern cutting off that turn could be really useful. So I decide not to play this stitch New Dog because I don't want to expose it without knowing the colors, just because then I wouldn't be able to play the Stitch Rockstar on the turn I would like. And now I'm getting the opportunity to play that Lantern and then bring in the Stitch New Dog to set up for, a future turn. I feel like the play of not playing that Stitch New Dog, not having access to that one lore, I don't feel is that impactful in the end, because so many people are running 3 toughness characters on, their 1 and 2 drops. So I'm not going to trade that Stitch with anything else. But this gives me the opportunity to shift in the Stitch Rockstar so I can quest for 3. And they played the Cogsworth that lets their relentless characters gain lore instead of need to attack, because they can tap them down. He brings out the Arthur, and knowing Arthur's shenanigans as they are, I want to consider how I can kind of eliminate that threat. I decided to take out to ink the Maui, because the likelihood is I'm not going to be able to get to that Arthur right away, and the Stitch Rockstar could take him out either way. So I figured I was safe, doing that and then bringing out the Mufasa so that I have something to replace him with if needed. So they bring out Aurora and a Grandma Tala. They end up questing with the Arthur and returning the Cogsworth, which I thought was an interesting move. I get to play that second Lantern, and I get to kill their Arthur, which, it's sitting there, so I might as well take it out. And then I'm going to get the opportunity to draw a card from doing that with the Rapunzel healing the Mufasa, which is a little counterproductive to the goal, right? Like, you don't necessarily want to heal Mufasa because you want him to be replaced, but in this case, taking out the Arthur and drawing a card, seemed like it was the best play. Now they've got the big Aurora to give ward to everything, but then they get rid of their only other character on the board, and they swing in to put some damage on the Stitch. And I guess knowing they could take it out on the next turn, I decided to swing Mufasa in to see what I flip off the top before deciding how else to play things. And I get the Rapunzel, which lets me draw some cards because it gets to heal the Stitch, and at that point my opponent concedes. And now we're on to game 10. Game 10 is an interesting game because I only ever saw them play Amethyst cards. I never saw them ink another color. I don't know if they were playing monocolor. I don't know. So it was interesting. I decided to ink the Mickey Surfer or Mini Surfer because I don't see myself playing it right away. Seeing them play Reflection was interesting because I haven't seen it in deck lists. It made me go, well, if you've played Mufasa with that, you could set your deck up and set it up how you want. And I was like, that, now you're in Christmas land and you're hoping that you can do the thing that, you know, like, this deck seems to be relatively consistent overall with a, you know, not that I'm at the 90 win rate, you know, 90% win rate, but, you know, I'm 5-4 at this point, you know, I'm at least a 50%, if not 60% win rate. It's not terrible. It's fun to play. I like the randomness of the flip, you know, not knowing what you're going to get from Mufasa is definitely an intriguing, you know, gamble, because sometimes it doesn't replace how you would like. I got to play that dock, so I've got 2 pieces of ramp, so I could, without inking anything, move into that Mufasa if I wanted to. They've got nothing on board right now. And I'm sitting here going, I might as well play the Stitch Rockstar so it quests for 3. I choose to ink the Maui because they have nothing on board that for him to take out. And still only seeing Amethyst cards. I like the Peter Pan Shadow. I think it's an interesting move. The fact that he didn't take out Doc made me question why he would play it there, or at least why he would attack the Doc. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that there's some damage on Doc and draw some cards off of it. And now I'm going to set it up so that his... And I did the silly thing that I always do, is I selected to put him in bodyguard and not draw the card off of the Stitch Rockstar by accident, because I forget the order of operations when doing those things on Pixelborn. He's going to play the Madam Mim to bounce back his Peter Pan Shadow, and then the only option he really has is to take out the Simba. Plays the Reflection. I really wish you could see, like, in the After Effect, like, what they decided to stack their deck with, because I wonder how much of that played into the fact that I only saw Amethyst. Or maybe they were playing only Amethyst and just didn't draw a lot of threats there. I get to play the Stitch Carefree Surfer and draw 2 cards. At this point, I'm threatening lethal. Only having seen Amethyst, I'm not worried about a board wipe, because even if they had Ruby, they don't have 7 ink. The most they can do is Dragonfire. And they use a magic broom to bring something back. And I really wonder what they were shooting for. And at this point, I know I've got it locked down. I don't want to mess around with my opponent too much more, so I'm just quest in. All in all, I really enjoy the deck. It's the deck I've been playing outside of running the video stuff. So basically, I'm finding other interesting deck lists that people are either making videos about, or, you know, I see posted on Discord or whatever, and running them through this Gauntlet challenge. But this is the deck I keep going back to and playing casual games. I'm playing on ranked, but like playing when I have some free time and like let me get a game or 2 in. I got to actually get the Pixelborn on my iPhone now. So I have it on my Android phone, I have it on my iPhone, so I'm checking out the differences. It's actually pretty smooth on the iPhone, because my iPhone's newer than my Android phone, but you have to lock it out and make sure that you can not use their little swipe up from the bottom thing, so I had to learn how to do that. It also is frustrating to me because I like to listen to stuff and not necessarily watch like a Netflix show or something. I put the screen in the background, so not being able to do that because you can't lock the screen, you know, the controls when something's playing in the background like that. So I don't get to listen to something while I do that. You could do it with like an audio book depending on the player that you're using, but I like that, you know, Pavel is developing for the other platforms. Even though I'm not the biggest iPhone user, it is something I have access to, so I'm trying to kind of test on all platforms that I have access to provide bug reports if I find them. But I like this deck. This is I like the gamble of what comes off the top with the Mufasa. Sometimes you flip into a Maleficent Dragon, sometimes you flip into a Stitch New Dog with nothing in your hand, and you're just stuck waiting to see what, you know, the next thing is. But 60% win rate is not terrible. I know there's a couple other videos that have come up after I, you know, shot all of this and recorded all the gameplay that are boasting a higher win rates with different additions, and I like some of those additions, and I'm gonna look at, you know, making some tweaks to what I've been playing. You know, maybe make another video on that in a couple of instances. But this is definitely a deck to check out. It's a fun deck to pilot. There's not a lot of, you know, oh, let me play this action, let me do this. You know, it's you're playing creatures, you're playing characters and swinging. So if you played Green Stompy in Magic or anything like that, you kind of get the, let me just keep playing these cards, you know, and see what happens. You're not trying to combo necessarily. A little bit of the, you know, can I draw cards because I can take advantage of a situation. So let me know what you think of the deck, what you think of the formatting of the video, you know, and you know, thank you for joining me. Like, comment, you know, whatever. Again, this is Diabolic, or Eric from Bacon Ice Cream Productions. Thank you for joining me for my Ruby Amber Mufasa deck gauntlet, and we'll catch you on the next video.
RTFC.baconicecream.com